Welcome back, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us once again. This is Own Your Gifts, episode 7. Own Your Gifts is a show created by myself and my legendary co-host, Joey Pollaro. Over the next 45 minutes, we're going to help teach and share age-old cutting-edge tips, tools, exercises, and hacks to plug into the higher forces of gratitude. We're also very blessed, incredibly blessed to have a special guest join us each week. It's not Leo this week. We've got a special guest, Paul S. Rogers, who will be joining us. We'll bring him on in just a moment. Joey, welcome. How are you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. Getting better and better every day in every way.
Nice.
That's a little affirmation that I do, and whether I feel it or not, that's what I've been saying to myself, and so yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm super excited to have Paul on. He's one of those special people to me, and we met in, I don't know, I'm not 100% sure, but in whatever magical way people meet on LinkedIn, and he's been one of my best friends and mentors and advocates, and I got an opportunity to be a guest on his show, and we link up to chat whenever we can, and he's got a super powerful story of overcoming adversity and taking those human challenges and using it to heal and to grow and to contribute beyond themselves and help others along the same path. So that's what this show is really all about. It's about highlighting individuals who has taken some of their more challenging times in life and used it as fuel to serve others, and to obviously teach tools how to plug into the higher force of gratitude.
For sure, a show
Let's get him
about
on
gratitude.
here.
And on that note, like, we do have the opportunity to share on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. So, guys, please let us know if you're joining us. Drop your comments where you're joining us from. If it's your first time, if you're back, we truly appreciate all the feedback. And let's bring on Paul. Hey, Paul, brother, how are you? Paul's in Canada.
Yeah, Canada by the sea, and I'm really pleased that Leo's left the screen, because I was going to have some serious competition with your cat.
Oh, he might pop in occasionally, Paul, but I don't believe it anyway, mate. Welcome. Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
So did they change the screen around? The plug into the comments used to be up top. All right, whatever. So we like to start the show. Paul, welcome. We're going to hear a lot more about your story, what you do, who you serve, and why. But we like to start off the show with a little, we like to call it a little inventory, where we share with each other and with the listeners something that we've done well today and something that we can work on doing a little better tomorrow. Danny, you want to start us off?
Thanks, Joey. I'm in recovery almost 12 years, and yet so you'd think I'd be learning, and I am. I don't want to minimize, but I can be quite immature at times, And this morning I had a really mature conversation with somebody who, it's about my daughter actually, and it always rolls up this beast in me, which I sometimes just think, far out, Danny, where did that come from? But I just feel like this week, and certainly today, I've been able to sort of throw in an extra level of maturity for the best case scenario for my daughter. So I think that's really important that I can do that. And it's also important that I acknowledge it. That's just for today. Tomorrow I might completely blow it again, So that's something I've done well today, and something I could possibly do better tomorrow is I also noticed yesterday and just lately I've just been go. It's like I'm so driven with my business, the podcast, and all the stuff that I do, and just don't give myself any time off. I spent a lot of time working yesterday, too much, and I think I need to look after myself a little bit more. I haven't been eating much. I need to probably eat a little bit more. So that's something I'm going to be focusing on over the weekend. That's for sure. What about you, Joey?
Oh, well, actually did a lot well today. But what I feel like I really did well, and is a big win for me, is I have a little brother. He's about 21 years younger than me, and he has cancer, and he's going through chemo. He's got Hodgkin's disease, and I know that's a part of your story too, Paul. And we want to touch on that as well. And it's common. People get cancer. It's hell. The treatment is hell. And, I've been trying to spend a little bit more time with him, and just treat him like he's not sick, and try to make him laugh, and not try to fix it when he's suffering. And I really did a good job today of just, because he was having a really rough day. And, my first inclination is to fix it, is to try to encourage him, or shift his perspective, or give him a solution. And I guess sometimes that's needed, but sometimes really just people just need you to sit with them. And I feel like I did that really, really well today. And hopefully it served my brother. It definitely served me, because I did what I normally don't do. So that I feel like I did well, and it's what I could do a little better tomorrow is kind of like the opposite of Danny's. I've over the course of the last couple of years, when I started my business, I've gone through periods of time where I grinded, 70 hours a week, not getting proper rest, not getting proper nutrition, always being in this heightened state of anxiety. And, I started a bit of a spiritual journey about 4 months ago, which, includes a lot of self-introspection work and energy work. And it has jarred loose some old stuff in my cells, or things that I had thought healed that are now rebroken. And I tend to, sometimes when I get into these spaces, I get hyper focused. I spend a lot of time practicing gratitude. I spend a lot of time in meditation. I spend extra time on exercise and things of that nature. And, my head's basically in the clouds, and a lot of my responsibilities fall wayside. And what my spiritual advisor told me, who does the energy work with me, is he noticed it with me. And he said, it's okay to have your head in the sky and to trust in God or trust in the universe, but make sure you tie up your fucking camel. Meaning, like, let's get back into, let's try to find balance. So it's not good for me to be grinding all the time, and it's not good for me to be in, writing and in meditation all the time. I need to try to find some sort of balance. So that's what we're really trying to achieve here. What about you, Paul? You got a couple for us?
Yeah, it's been a fairly exciting day in that I've had to really dig back to some knowledge which happened many, many moons ago when I was being a lawyer. I know I don't look particularly lawyerish, but I was once one of those wonderful breed. I've got some business people which I'm coaching at the moment, and I've been able to elevate one person far higher than they thought actually was possible. And it's kind of, I could see where the journey and what the potential where it could go, but I knew that they couldn't see it at that time. And so I almost asked them, well, look, just take it on trust. Just go with me, because I can see something which I hope you will be able to see. And not only was it then seen, it was actually eclipsed, because they went shooting straight past it. And I was like, man, I only thought you were going to get to here, but actually you've gone all the way over to there. And it was really nice to actually realize that actually that you can trust what your instincts are, you can trust what your gut feeling is, and we're just talking about relationships with other human beings. We're not talking about anything else. It's actually believing in them, so much so that they actually believe in them even more. So I'm still very, very pleased about that. And you know, what sort of price would you put on that? There isn't anything price you put on that. That's what makes us. That's what makes us such a wonderful people, to actually be able to do that. And I know coaches like yourselves and stuff, I think you know exactly what I'm talking about. What could I do better? I need to guard my boundaries more, because when I actually see that and I put that much energy in, I have a tendency to overcommit. I always over deliver. That's my kind of default provision. And I realize I just need to scale it back a few notches, because maybe if I scale it back, that's kind of like a good person's excellence. So I've got to actually don't get carried away with where I'm going, but actually say, okay, I held the vision. I give it to you now, rather than trying to carry them all the way up. And that, to be honest, they did a lot of the legwork, which is kind of nice because you sort of push them. But I think next time, or one thing I am learning is to keep a little bit, or keep more back for myself, because it's not just one thing in a day, as you guys know. It's this, and this, and I've only got a limited amount of energy, and if I invest it all in one place, I kind of leave my energy bank account near being overdrawn. So that's one thing I did well, and one lesson I've also learned as I go forward.
Awesome. Thank you very much. It seems like obviously we're three humans, and we're trying to achieve some sort of balance. I thought it was, you mentioned boundaries, right? It's not really my cup of tea. I'm a habitual line stepper, as they say. And, it made me think about you, Danny. And, Danny works most, aside from his encapsulator business, he works in the treatment center, pretty much full time. And that's a place where there's a lot of pain, right? There's a lot of pain. There's a lot of suffering. Danny's got a gigantic heart. He's super invested in what he's doing there. And I was curious, Danny, if you might want to talk a little bit about how you maintain some sort of level of boundaries to protect yourself in a way, like emotionally, so you're not getting torn to pieces on a day-to-day basis, or whether that's even an issue for you at all.
Yeah, thanks, Joey. Yeah, look, it's one of those things that you learn, and you guys probably know from you learn that you're supposed to leave your shit at the door. So when I leave, I'm supposed to leave it there and go and live life as normal. And then all my outside dramas, I'm supposed to leave them at the door when I come in. It's not how I work. Absolutely not. I don't know if it's even human to be able to do that. So it's just a matter of sort of, I think it's like, I love that expression, like a filing cabinet. I've got a filing cabinet going on of emotions, and I just put things sort of back in the file. They're still there, and I actually use them to empower people at times, like it's great to be authentic and let people know if you're if you're struggling. But mate, and look, even to the extreme, I might cry. I might be that hurt from carrying something that triggers something in me that a great release for that is just to cry it out. I use prayer as well. It's something I like to talk to something out there bigger and better than me that helps me to do that. So yeah, I'm really good at it, but my really good probably isn't what is what's supposed to be, but it's what works for me. Absolutely.
That's all that matters.
Sure. Look, Joey, I'd love to hear from Paul. Paul, tell us about you, man. What do you do? I know that you're a cancer survivor. Thanks for touching on that, Joey. I'd love to hear some more about that.
Yeah.
And certainly just acknowledge that we've got a lot of people that watch the show who certainly go through some type of addiction, who struggle as well. So I just know that you're going to drop the gold here today, mate. So please let us know a bit more about yourself.
Yeah, sure. I mean, thank you very much. Joe, you both set the scene so beautifully. So I'm going to swan into the center of the stage and grab the microphone. You're going to regret that. I started off my journey as a lawyer. I was a commercial lawyer for 11 years. And I did that because actually that's what I figured that you did. You did what everyone else does in society. You go along, get your good grades, then you go to the next level, and then you go to university, and then you go to law school, and so I did that, and I went along, and I was pretty successful. And I got to about 10 years in. I had all the trappings of wealth, but I was one of the most unhappiest people there was. From the outside world, everyone was like, oh my God, he's got everything. Why would he be unhappy? And it just gets harder and harder to bury that hole, because it keeps getting deeper and deeper. And so, I followed the fairy tale, which everyone says, and there was no happily ever after. And I found that I was stuck. And I know a lot of people feel like that. And if any, there are silver linings to the COVID, because actually it's a really good way of shaking you out of being stuck, because you ain't got a choice. Sometimes I saw this beautiful quote the other day, which you guys will know. It says, sometimes you need to find motivation. Other days motivation finds you. And there's got a picture of a big bear chasing a guy. And it's like, so that, sometimes the obstacle, it chases you rather than you. And that's where the real gems start to be learned. So I thought, well, look, I need to get out of this. And so I was lucky enough to have a hobby, which is kite surfing. Now, I wasn't actually particularly good at it. I'd like to put my hand up and say, I wasn't good at it, but I figured I really like doing this. So I'm going to take myself off. At the age of 35, I'm going to jack 11 years. I was a partner, 11 years of law in, and I was going to throw it all in and go off to the Dominican Republic for 10 weeks and learn how to be a kite surfing instructor. And you can imagine the conversation with my family. I was like, I'm going to quit the law. And I'm like, really? My dad, love him to pieces. He's a judge. That just gives you an idea.
And grow dreadlocks as well.
Yeah, exactly. He's still got his hair and he's 70, but yes. So I had to have that conversation. So I said, Dad, look, I'm going to quit the law. The only other time we've had that type of awkward conversation is when you go and ask the father if you can get engaged to the girl. And that's that type of, you talk about everything, the weather, the nice plant, the same type of conversation. And so I said to him, I'm going to quit the law. And he said, oh, okay, well, what are you going to do? And I said, I'm going to go and be a kite surfing instructor.
Okay.
And he said, well, son, he said, you're an arse, but now you're just about to become a bum. And so, and bum in Europe means people live on the beach. I know for my American sensitive audience, I have to. So yes, so I did that. And actually I came back to England and I pumped up kites on the beach for people, because you start at the bottom. I have no problem about starting at the bottom. I got asked recently on another podcast, what advice would you give somebody just starting out in the world business wise? What was one thing you tell them? I tell them the same thing as I told all my trainees. Know that you are not the smartest person in the room. If you are the smartest person in that room, you're in the wrong damn room. So that really is that's a reality slap for people, which is kind of cool. Yes. And so I did, that went well. And then I found myself suddenly owning a kite surfing business in the Caribbean, a kite surfing business in England. And I was like, wow, okay, that sort of happened. Unfortunately, I didn't listen to my own good legal advice, and I got myself badly burnt when I fell out with my business partner, and I lost everything. Well, almost everything, because you can take Paul out of the law, but you can't take the law out of Paul, because I forgot, because I can get very forgetful. This is even before my accident. I forgot to transfer all the assets from my name to the company name. So I took my Paul home with me. So that was kind of fun. And then so we arrived back here in Canada, Quebec. You'll say, well, look, you're a Brit. What the hell are you doing in Canada? The only reason why you travel across the world is for a woman. And so my wife is French Canadian. We didn't have any money. We had nowhere to live. So the only place where we knew we could go and work was on the Indian reserves way up north. So we spent there 5 years whilst I got my immigration. Now, during that little picnic, I also found that I had cancer, and it was a skin cancer. Now, people say, oh, is it because of the sun? No, it's stress. As soon as this whole shift happened, within about 3 or 4 weeks, I noticed this lump on my back. And of course, I went to doctors. Oh, that's fine. It's, it's your age. There was 100 different things it could have been. If it gets worse, come and see me. So a year later, it got worse. And by that time, they said, well, actually, this thing is like deadly now. So anyway, so that happened. They got the phone call which said it's cancer, which is one of the few moments in your life your world stops and the second hand doesn't go again. And my route was surgical because it's the skin, but it did decide it wanted to have it stretch its legs and run up into my lymph nodes, bless its heart. So we caught that eventually, and then you get given, and this is the thing nobody tells you, and I try to make public. When people say to you, it's all good, you're cured, everything's fine. What happens at that point is that the medical profession withdraw because they've done their job. Your friends and family say, oh, thank goodness, now you can get on back with your life. So they go away at the very moment when actually your whole life's been put through the shredder and you haven't been able to make plans. So there you are. And like, well, where'd everyone go? This is the time I need the support the most, because I haven't got a clue what to do, because my life, you can't make plans. You couldn't do things like that. So that was very difficult. And that's one of the things I try and draw attention to. The next sort of, that was just the hors d'oeuvre. The real menu's coming up now. In March 2018, March 19, 2018, my family and I, 2-year-old, my wife and my beautiful husky Melanie, were driving back in North Quebec, just having picked my little one up from daycare, when on an unmanned railway crossing, a train hit the car and went straight over the top of us. And it obliterated the car and us. We were to wake up my wife and I to wake up 10 days later. My 2-year-old was remarkably unscathed, and I'll tell you the why about that in a moment. But there's a picture which actually still keeps coming back to me, even though I'm not, that I couldn't obviously know, but a 2-year-old in the middle of a completely smashed up car with mum and dad, unconscious. And no one to protect him, as a father, as not there to protect somebody. And that's that for anyone who is, father, family, that's gonna, how that's gonna feel. So when I did wake up, I woke up to the delight of having a smashed skull, a broken neck in 3 places, and smashed 2 or 3 bones in the back. I couldn't talk, which I know sounds very unbelievable now, but at the time, I think the medical profession really did actually kick themselves for the time I said, I wish you could say things, because I never stopped. But my mouth had been smashed so hard shut it couldn't open, and I didn't know how to walk. I'd forgotten. So and that's just over 3 years ago. So since then has been the journey of various very, very intrusive brain surgeries, eye surgeries, other sort of weird. I am at the moment a surgeon's, I mean, Edward Scissorhands would struggle to find anything they could actually do with. And the PTSD, which unsurprisingly you get, which mine is a complex one, which complex, for those who don't know, complex and PTSD, complex means that it's not just one trauma, it's a series of repeated traumas over and over. And I like to say, well, don't like to say, but I think that it's kind of PTSD for me on steroids. And it's something I live with every day. It's something which is always there. Trauma never doesn't go away. You just get better at handling it. But the big problem is with anything which is invisible, people look at me, if they don't know me, I think, well, he looks fine. You know, he's coherent, you know. But actually, that's because I'm high functioning, and that is part of the problem. And when we talked about earlier about people knowing what to say to families and things like that, I love how you start the show of what have you done and what do you think you could do better. There's so much in that, because even just sitting with someone, saying nothing, that can be your best. For me, the hardest question, and I avoid it at all costs, is somebody says, so how do you feel? For me, that is a loaded question, and I find it difficult to answer. So what I've done with this is I've actually taken this pain, where this journey is, and rather than suggesting somebody else goes and plays chicken with a train, I have shown them that actually through trauma and adversity, where I know you guys say you find your gifts, and I totally agree with that, that somebody doesn't have to go through that. Trauma is trauma. You know, you don't have to get hit by a physical. It can be mental, spiritual, emotional. It's the same feeling. And each one of those has a lesson. And it's really, really hard to spot it to start with. You're like, oh, why is this happening to me? Oh, it's so bad. Opportunity and prosperity do not come with a big sign around their neck saying, hey, I'm opportunity. They actually wear the clothes of a painful, brutal ending. And so being able to spot that there is actually a gift, when in fact you doesn't appear to be anything, and actually the gift was always there. It's just that your eyes have now become attuned to something different. So
sure.
That's what I do.
Wow. What an incredible story. Oh, you know, Joey, before, I mean, to say, like, the thing that really, really struck me with that was your child. Is it your son? your son, it's one of my horrors. It's one of the things I think about all the time. But, yeah, you and mum and dad are unconscious, and he's like I always cry, actually. Like
they wanted to put him into care because, of course, the police officers arrived, and they're like, what do we do here? And they phoned our next of kin. My sister-in-law, because she's 5 hours drive away because we're up north. And so she said, look, you know, we're going to have to put him into care. And she said, I'm getting in the car now. I'll be with you in 5 hours' time. Do not create a care record for him. I will take it. And just to give you an idea of where we were with that, I now know, because we've had a look at my wife, because I can't look at it. She's examined the ambulance records, and I have passed 4 times, so I can tell you what is on the other side. Yeah. And they came up with a 7% chance of me seeing through the night. Now, my big question is, how the hell did they arrive at 7? 5%, 10%, but 7, it's somebody sit there and go, it's almost like, when you're diving and they hold up a scorecard and what do you think you give them? Oh, 6 or I'll give them a 7, and somebody, oh, you 7. Okay, we'll give them a 7. But my parents had got that call in England to come over, and they had been given the grim news that when they arrived, they'd have to switch my machines off. So I make light of it because humor has been, I'm mostly giving away some of my secrets a bit later, but hey, what the heck. Humor, I've found, is one of the most powerful weapons I have in my arsenal. My psychologist, hang on a minute, how LA do I sound? My psychologist, whenever I meet somebody new in the medical thing, and he said, were you scared? And I said, yes. He said, I'll tell you what you did. Okay. He said, you went in there and you made them laugh. You cracked a joke and you made them laugh. I said, that's it. He said, that is how you get through your stuff. Now, that's fine. He and I have a bit of sport with each other, so it's not actually anything. But if that can help there, just and that's one of the things when people say, what advice would you give our audience today? I said, humor. Lighten up. Find something, anything which is not too bad. To give you an example of this, sometimes the medical profession really asks really dumb questions, and this was one of them. And this is kind of like, be careful what you ask for. I'd just woken up, and at the time I didn't even know who I was. And I stayed around for like 5-6 months. And one of the nurses, in one of my rare lucid moments, said, well, you've lost quite a lot of weight. Well, hello, I've been on liquids for 10 days. So I said, I call this my train crash diet. And she was like, and I said, well, is it too soon? And they, of course, all the ICU workers were like, oh my God, but that's another way of you. And I know Joey and Danny, I know Joey for sure, reframing things is really important. So actually being able to, and that's a nice way of helping people feel slightly uncomfortable.
For sure.
And that's what humans do. We're social beings.
Well, thank you. I do want to bring this up. I have a lot of questions, obviously, and I definitely want to talk a little bit about how was it that your son made it, because to me that's the if there is a beauty other than that everybody came through alive, it's that story. But briefly, I would just like to touch on like the humor part of it. Like, so Danny and I I'll speak for myself. A lot of my adversity was self-inflicted. I'm an alcoholic and I'm a drug addict, and my life demonstrated what you would think that would look like on steroids for somebody who chooses to live that way. And goes too far and loses the power to choose and just can't get out. But one of the beautiful things about a recovery community, or a linking up with a brother or sister in recovery and talking about some of the tragic, absolutely horrific, tragic things that we did, that were done to us, that happened in order for us to get what we need. And we laugh about it. And there's a lot of healing in that. Like, if you're in a recovery community and a guy's like telling a story, he's like, yeah, I brought I brought my grandmother to Kmart and she's 95 years old. And all of a sudden I realized that I had that I needed to go score drugs. And so I left her in the parking lot for half the afternoon, and like the room breaks out in laughter. There's nothing funny about that. You know what I mean? There's nothing funny about that. But the fact is that his grandma was okay. We came through, and it's like, we've made it. We've transformed. you know, we're doing it a day at a time, and some of the tragic shit that we pull and that, you know, that we come across living that type of life, you know, the humor piece tends to really help. So I appreciate that. Wouldn't you say, Danny?
Yeah, for sure. Like and I know you touched on it. It's the most important part about healing. Like, there's no way I would have hung around for the 12 years I've been in recovery, especially those early days that were just such a struggle. If I couldn't smile and have a laugh, in fact, you know, those, and I know a lot of people out there in recovery relate to this, but those laughs that I had in those early days, just in tears over shit, you know, is definitely what gave me hope for the future, you know, and continuing to have that joy in those laughs is it's such a great part of the healing process, you know. It heals the spirit for sure, I think.
Yeah. I mean, that's before you even start digging into the biological stuff, which people can recite to you chapter and verse.
Yeah.
I actually think, screw that, because that's happening anyway. Am I able to change a situation from where people, and you can see it in people's eyes, you can see the fear, and it's not about making other people comfortable, it's about making you comfortable and therefore them. I mean, and I love doing things which are unexpected, and that's really fun. So they say, oh, you know, and they were saying about something, and I said, thank you very much. He said, what do you mean, thank you? I've just told we're going to do this. I said, well, you know, I was brought up properly. And, you know, it's little things like that, which actually, when you are scared, when you're not feeling comfortable with your recovery, it's not a comfortable process. It's not, oh no, let's break out the fine china here. This is hard work. And if you can't, if you can't actually sit there and just laugh at how much shit is falling on your head, you're like, really? Does anyone else want to kick in here? That's fine. You've got a collective, you've got something in common with people then. And that commonality, that's what brings the brotherhood, the sisterhood, and that's what gives. I'm pretty sure if you close your eyes, you could name 5 people from that journey you started with you, and it's because of that connection. It's not because of a list of names.
Yeah, 100%. It's so important, you know, it's in moving forward, and there is definitely those five people. I love the direction we've sort of gone in here, just around like how important this stuff is in someone's life and recovery, overcoming trauma, adversity. It's such a simple thing, isn't it? It's something that every single one of us as human beings can do.
Yeah, I mean, and that, you know, let's all get very sort of tree huggerish here. That's why the 3 of us do what we do. Because there's somebody out there at the moment who may just have needed to have a laugh tonight, needed to just smile and think whatever he wants to think, because I don't really care, but whatever he wants to think, if that's made him smile and that's changed the trajectory of tonight, this week, this month, there you go. You know, mission accomplished.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah, laughter is some of the best medicine that there is. I remember when, the first time I laughed in recovery, I was probably about, 10 or 11 months sober and tanking, mentally and emotionally, and was really messed up. And before that, I mean, I don't think I didn't express any emotion aside. Not even, typically my go-to emotion is anger, but there was a 5-year period before I got into recovery where I couldn't even muster up that. I was literally the Walking Dead. And there was no emotion. And I remember the first time, I was in a all male facility, a bunch of junkies trying to get sober, bunch of funny people, man. And I just could, the entire time I was there, I never even cracked a smile. But I remember the first time I laughed, you know what I mean? And it was like, it surprised me, and it was foreign, and it was the first sign of life. And I was just like, whoa, wait a minute. Like, I'm alive, you know, like it's so powerful. It's a shame because the clock is ticking here. You know, I know Danny has another engagement, and we want to definitely get into sharing, you know, a tip or tool, a strategy, an exercise, or a hack to plug into and generate the higher force of gratitude, which I see as the mother of all virtues and the quickest way to shift our perception, and my number one spiritual tool. So why don't we do that? And then, you know, and if we have a few extra minutes, I'd really love the story about how your dog saved, you know, jumped on top of your son and sacrificed his life. And I also have you know, I have an animal that come into my life that saved my life in a different way. And it's just amazing, you know, how much you can learn from an animal. Everything I ever learned about connecting with other people or life in general, I learned from having animals.
They're angels in furry disguise, and they watch over us and they protect us. And my beautiful husky, he delivered my family, and he paid the price with his life. But there's the beautiful poetry in that even in the middle of a dark, destructive thing, there's a act of beauty, love, compassion, if you're willing to focus on that rather than the destruction. And cyclical story, we rescued him from a dog pound, and then he rescued us as we went around. So quite a nice circular story.
How beautiful. Amazing. Paul, on that note, like something, if you could share with us a tip, a tool, a trick, a hack on how you plug into the higher force of gratitude, what makes you happy, you could share with our people out there. Have you got a tip for us today, mate?
I think knowing that you have the power to change your picture. If you are somewhere where you don't like, that is not your destination. It's just a place on the destination. You have that power any moment to change that thinking, to move yourself. If you're not happy where you are, don't settle for it. That's not where you're meant to be. Carry on.
Yeah, for sure. Spot on. You've reminded me of that today in the beginning of you talking about following your dreams and becoming, you know, the kite surfer. It's golden. And a little tool that I have used along my journey, and certainly in the most couple of years, is that visualization, you know. And when we visualize what we want, I think dream big, you know. I often say to my clients, people, friends, that there's no harm in that. So fantasize, make your wish and dream big, because even just that, I think, opens up our hearts to the possibilities as well. And if you've got that negative self-talk in the background, sometimes you just need to go, shut up, I'm going to fantasize and dream big here. So that's my tip today too, is just to dream big, follow your dreams, just like you did, Paul, in the beginning. I love that idea. You know, it's a beautiful thing, and we have choice. You know, as human beings, as a man in recovery, for yourself too, Paul and Joey, we can do whatever we want. That's the fact, I think. Yeah. What about you, Joey?
Yeah, following our intuition. You know, we share a lot of you know, simple, effective tools to practice gratitude, and mine, it doesn't necessarily isn't, you know, a how-to, but more of a when, which is important for me, because I don't like to get into situations where it's like, oh, I'm feeling grateful, let me practice gratitude, or oh, I feel like shit, let me practice gratitude to see if I can climb out. So I think that one of the most important things is to be doing it in a, you know, this is a suggestion, to structure it into your day and to make it a part of your routine, whether that be in the morning or in the evening or with every meal. Just a few seconds, just shifting your attention, eating a meal more mindfully, or just shifting to some gratitude. You know, and also, and I've mentioned this before, and I've been in the muck a little bit, and so I've had to practice this a lot. And it's about during times when my mind is undirected, which can be like whenever it is I'm standing around and I'm not focusing on anything. I could be online and at the coffee shop, or I could be in transition from the gym to my car walking, or I can, be online at the bank or sitting in traffic. Those are really good times for me to remember to use some sort of gratitude practice, because that's when my lower nature starts to talk to me. That's when that voice gets a little bit louder. So mine's more of a timing thing.
Beautiful. Joey, I just want to throw in, I still think the most powerful one is kindness. Share some love, be kind. And try to do it without any expectation. That's my number one always is sharing the kindness. It's a great tool to become.
And you live it, and it shows.
Thanks, mate. I try. One thing I've had people who even say you smile too much, Danny. That's such a compliment, because
they're the who actually just smile even bigger, because if it's going to piss them off, and you just told me how to do it, so it's like I'm going to come out and smile really big now.
Oh, absolutely. All right, Joey. Thanks so much for joining us, Paul, mate. Yeah, I do have another meeting. I jump on at 12. We try and wrap it up in about this time. It's thank you for your honesty. What a humbling story. You are a man who has overcome diversity. Absolutely, mate. Keep killing it, brother.
Thank you, my man.
Thank you, Joey.
A beautiful night. And Paul, man, you're looking trim, dude. What are you doing?
All sorts of new nutritional products, and they've turned my life around in the last 2 or 3 weeks. So very excited to look at that journey, and I am loving every minute of it. So I'm really, really happy with that.
So if somebody that's watching is interested in what you're taking and how it's working, they could just visit your what?
Direct message me, reach out. I'm very happy to share my toys. If I'm feeling good, then I kind of want to spread that around. As you said, kindness, paying it forward. If I feel this good, I want other people to feel just like that. So yeah, please reach out. And like these guys here, I'll do everything in my power to make sure that we make a difference in your life.
It's been a great show. Thank you, Danny. Thank you, Paul. Love you.
For a sec, Paul, I'll just end the broadcast. See you next week.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us.